But currently in the whole China, they have a 320 million feet production per year. So it's a big number. But for the big number, basically is the 80% of a market share is occupied by the big companies. Only 20% of shares is doing by the small feed mills.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Feed Science Podcast brought to you by 𝗦𝗽cie. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite subjects, feed mills, these in China. And we're going to begin the show here. I'm going to ask Dr. Hong to introduce himself to us.
Hi. Hello, everybody. My name is Hongyuan Cheng. It's a long Chinese name, but you can call me simply Hong. It make you easier. My background, actually, I was educated as a chemical engineer. I got my PhD degree in Technical University of Denmark as a chemical engineer. I used to work with some chemical engineer issues for the chemical process. But after I graduated, I moved to Food Institute. I started to work with all the food things using chemical engineering principles, from the basic thermodynamics to unit operation to all the different things. In the food production, we produce all the things in food, but after that, I also start to take all the projects for the food for animals. So we call that an animal feed, or we call that the feed pellets. I started such kind of business 22 years ago. It started from 2023. I gradually transfer to the feed business. I worked with the different people basically in north part of Europe, or more specifically in Scandinavian countries with different people. Because I have some background from China, so in recent 10 or 15 years, I also start work with many Chinese feed companies in China. I can say technically there's a big difference between Chinese feed mill, or Chinese feed mill and Europe feed mill. So I try to use some new ideas to work with all the Chinese feed mills. This is my basic background.
Feed formulation software is stuck in the past. Most tools haven't evolved beyond basic least cost optimization. 𝗦𝗽cie𝗁𝘀𝗀 changes that. It's an AI-powered platform with nonlinear ingredient modeling for enzymes and additives, cost per gain and maximum profit optimization, and real-time collaboration like Google Docs for nutrition. Every recommendation is grounded in world-class research, built for modern nutritionists who need more than legacy desktop software can deliver. Work seamlessly with your team and optimize the way modern operations demand. Try 𝗦𝗽𝗁𝘀𝗀𝗃 free today. Feed formulation, finally modernized.
Well, thank you for that. So we'll just jump right in with our first question here, and that's going to be, will green manufacturing become more important, in terms of regulation and other government policies in China?
Yeah, definitely, no doubt. Right now, CO2 is also the big issue for the Chinese feed mill. The environment issue become more and more important for the Chinese feed mill. In some reason, it's not allowed for the feed mill to use natural gas or the coal as a basic things to burn to create all the steam. So they have to transfer the things to so-called biomass. basically for most of the feed mill in north part of China, the south part of China, but there are also some kind of policies. That also depends on the local government. If they have a very heavy environmental regulation to control the air, to control the air pollution, so it's not allowed to use coal. It's not allowed to use coal and other things that can produce very heavy pollutions. Of course, they also, if we talk about the CO2, they also try to push the feed mill factory. You have to reduce the CO2 production, or to use some more green things from, for example, the electricity from windmill, from other green resources. These are things all the feed mill factories are facing the new challenge right now.
Yeah, we are doing some of that ourselves here in this country, and that can be a challenge for sure, and increase costs here.
It's the costs of sometimes because they need to change the steam system, and then they need to use the green electricity, and they have to adjust to adapt that kind of changes. So they need to buy new equipment or things like that.
So that kind of probably tie into our next question here, which is want to talk about how digital and smart feed mill operations are used in China.
Yes, there's also a new way for the Chinese feed mill manager or the CEO. But currently in the whole China, they have 320 million feet production per year. So it's a big number. But for the big number, basically, is 80% of a market share is occupied by the big companies. Only 20% of shares is doing by the small feed mills. For the big companies, they are also facing very big competition each other. So they try to make all the factories, convert the new factories to make things a little bit more efficient, or to make things to not rely on the people's skills, on the operator's skills. They try to use all the modernized digital technology. Currently, another big challenge is also one of the reasons for the feed mill company to try to convert this operation to digital operation is that the feed mill factories, they cannot attract young people. The people from or below 20 is very, they are not interested in to go to feed mill to get a job, and they stay there for a little bit long time. If they come to the feed mill, if they can see the operation or the dirty work, so they cannot stay there for longer time. So this is so right now currently most of the workers are typically they are over 30, over 40. So they also facing that kind of challenge. So young people, they say they cannot learn something new. They still work with the very old traditional things. So they feel a little bit boring. Also, if we make something a little bit more or some kind of fashion, some kind of attractive with all the digitalized technology, the young people will feel, I'm go to there to work just like play computer game. All the Z generation, they grew up like this way. So it's not only to try to make the factory more efficient, but also we have to take into account that how can we get a young generation to love such kind of business, to love to work with the feed mill. This is the challenge. That's why the people think about not only focus on the transfer the feed mill factory more efficient, but also make the things more attractive for the young generation.
Yeah.
This is I got very surprised in recent visits with all the different factories. They say, we of course we needed to use so-called lean manufacturing ideas or digitalization or idea to work on the to transfer the factory to a new generation operation. But from another side, we also need to attract young people to come here to work, to make the young people feel like they are working with the high technology.
Yes, yeah, and they know automation and they know computers and that type of thing, but they don't grow up. We got the same thing here. They don't grow up hands-on mechanical, and at this point, there are things in the feed mill that just can't be automated yet. I'm sure they will be someday, but today you still need a guy that knows where to go out there and hit it with the hammer to make it to work, and or to make adjustments and that type of thing. And the new employees don't seem to have any basic knowledge in that anymore.
Right, they will not grow up with a workshop at home. Right.
Yes. Absolutely. I think that's probably a global issue for all of us, that they don't make kids the same way they used to. And we've got to learn to adapt to that. That's tough for all of us.
Yeah.
So as we continue to work on being more efficient and automation and that type of thing, at the same time, we need to focus on quality control, and improve those kind of methods. What are you doing in China in regards to quality control and improving methods of production?
Yeah, the quality control right now that depends from different animals to different animals. For example, if you work with poultry and the kitchen, you have to have a nutritionalist stay within the factory to very closely contact with all the farmers. You have to get all the feedback every 3 days, and then to adjust all the nutrition and also control all the pellets quality. Another thing is in China, also they have transferred to the automatic feeding system, but for some, especially for the fish farmers, they still use a small bag to do or use the hand. Use their hand to feed all their fish in their fish pond. Some fish ponds are quite big, some fish ponds are quite small. So in the quality control, so this depends from one factory to another factory. It's very, very different. But basically, they transfer more and more to modernize the analysis method. For example, if we measure the protein and we measure all the fat content at the beginning, all the different factories, maybe they use the old traditional ways, but right now, all the Chinese, I can say all the Chinese mill, or not all the Chinese mill, at least all the big companies. I mean the big company, the company in the list in the stock market, and they use all the modernized the instrument to measure all the product quality. It is the one way. Another way is that all the management, they are not satisfied with the old method. They can say the competition is very strong between all the different companies. They are trying to use a new way to improve their quality in terms of using all the even very small amount of raw materials. But basically, for the big companies, they prefer to buy the raw materials with a very stable supply, with they can buy a huge amount of raw materials. But right now, because of the competition is very strong, so they transfer to buy some raw materials. So it's even the raw material amount is not that big. So they also buy such kind of things. So that things bring new challenges for the pelleting process, but also for the extrusion process. Right now, that kind of challenge make all the management sometimes are quite headache to control the product quality. This is since I can say that the new situation. They try to adapt all the cheap, low raw materials, and then it's you when you try to control the product quality, it's not the same way you follow the old track. So there's the new things. The new things is you have to get a solution if you are going to use such kind of new raw materials. For example, can we use all the insect meal? But for some people or some factories, they only use very small amount of insect meal, but they cannot adapt such kind of things smoothly, as I can see. Just one reason is the insect meal is too expensive. Another thing is the processing, the production line operation has a new challenge for the insect meal. That also brings a new difficulty for the product quality control. So I try to talk about something new. As for the old thing, of course, they follow all the old routine. They do the things regularly.
Okay, so it seems again a very similar situation where we call them alternative ingredients here and opportunity ingredients, and you'll just figure out how to get something pelleted and get the proteins and everything where you want it, and then they change ingredients and you start the process all over again.
Yes,
can be a challenge for sure.
Yeah.
So what is an efficient way to do production plan management, especially for the different aquatic feed pellets? Is there a more efficient way to do it?
Yeah, this is a big challenge. I also talked even today. I met with a regional manager of a top 5 Chinese feed companies, and they are also facing all the challenges to get the so-called the logistic challenge. They have too many different products, but they cannot get the product be sent to the correct place. That's because they cannot get the truck driver or the trucks to send all the things. Currently, when they do the production plan, or if we talk such kind of things, it's not a secret. We can see that in public, they use 2 ways. One way is they use production by orders. Another thing is they just predict the market. What are they going to what are the farmers? What's the need for the farmer? They use the data from in different regions. They use the data from last year, and then based on such kind of data, they make a rough plan monthly and seasonally and yearly. But the most part they do such kind of things monthly, and then they send all the people in the different regions to get the real farming data or farming situation. They see how many animals are they feeding, and do they start to feed new fishes, different pieces of fishes? Because in south part of China, they can start to feed all the fish, different fishes for almost year round. But even right now in south part of China, the temperature is still 36, 37. The water condition is still very good. So they use that kind of data, try to predict how much amount of things that they need to produce, especially for the fish farmers. Of course, for the swine and the chicken, more or less they can get a stable number, and they can make a good production plan. But for the fish farmers, sometimes it can be very difficult. Yeah, I have talked with a regional manager of a top Chinese company. This morning they say they have the challenge to decide what are they going to do next week. How many tons products are they going to produce? Where they can get the raw material to do such kind of things. So they are not only produce old things by orders, they also produce things by predictions.
Some things you might have a stock item that you know you're going to need this much of it, so you go ahead and make it and you wait for the order to come in. Right. And then you also get orders for, which leads to my question of how many rations would one of these feed mills, be manufacturing a day or a week?
Yeah, just in south part of China, or typically, for the big companies, they set up the factories in the different region for one production line. Or for one factory, typically they have, for example, this morning I visited the factory. They have for the fish production line, they have 2 fish production lines, so they can produce. Typically, they focus on, as I learned this morning, this factory they focus on 5 different kind of varieties for the different kind of fishes. Of course, for the same company, not that far. For the driving distance is about 1 hour. They have another factory belong to the fish feed factory or feed factory, not only fish feed. It belong to the same companies. It's only 1 hour driving distance. They produce similar things, but not the same.
So while we're making all this feed in, let's talk about improvements in the key machines in the mill. Hammer mills or conditioners, pelleters, extruders. What kind of work are you guys doing to get those machines running better and hitting production targets?
Yeah, just when the feed factories are doing such kind of things, typically they have 2 ways. One way, if they see the hammer mill or the mixer is not working that good, typically the one way they talk with the machine suppliers to ask them to do such kind of things. But sometimes, but right now, currently, as I can say, the feed factories is going to talk not only the suppliers of the machinery, but also some other people or some small companies. They focus on doing some automation or digitalization, or with such kind of companies. They help the feed mill companies to improve the efficiency of the unit operation, different kind of unit operation, especially for the pelleting machine. One is for the pelleting machine, but another is for the extruder and the dryer. Or they use more and more energy to try to improve the efficiency for the key equipment. Because when they work with poultry pellets compared to extruder, the poultry pellets or with the pelleting machine is a little bit easy, but it's of course nothing is easy in the world. but as I can see, when they are using more and more raw material with a very high fiber content for pelleting process, for the pelleting machine, they are having a big challenge to get good quality pellets currently. So they, of course, they can use all the different ways. If you only ask the machinery companies, they can give you a solution. They prefer you buy a new machine, to buy a new new piece of a machine. But if you talk with automation companies, they can help you to change the such kind of thing in terms of operation. How can we optimize the process? This is the things I can say. This is a new trend for the companies start to contact with other small or specialized companies to do such kind of things to improve the unit operation, especially for the extruder and the dryer. Because when they produce all the different kind of fish feed pellets, it's very challenged for the machines, but also for the operators, because the extruder is still a kind of a skills or experience based operations. So even for the good operators, sometimes when they start to use the same name of material, but they can produce a different kind of quality of pellets. Even you see the ingredients are they have all the ingredients, they have the same name, but the quality, the processing quality are totally different. This is the thing I can say. Other than of course they are using all the different kinds of ways to do such kinds. The one way is they focus on to use mathematical modeling ways to calibrate, or we call that crystal to make some ideas for the different kind of material. Basically, it's a calibration for the processing properties of different ingredients. This is things I can see in the unit operations. Of course, there are also all other things.
We've seen feed mills get bigger here in the United States, where, we used to have a lot of feed mills that made 50 to 100,000 ton a year. Now we have feed mills that make 600, 700, 800,000 ton a year. Are you seeing this same thing, larger capacity mills?
Yeah. I can see for the pelleting machine, in the old time they use 10 tons, 50 tons, and 30 tons. Right now, they produce 45 tons per hour for the pelleting machine.
Okay.
For the extruders, basically in China, they still use 10. Most part of extruders are around 10 tons per hour.
I don't know much about fish food. I'm more of a cattle and pig guy, so it's interesting.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to talk about that we've passed up, or?
Yeah, this is the one trend I can see in the Chinese fish meal companies, because the competition is so strong between the big companies. And more I can see the companies, they have a strong motivation to adapt the new technology. In the maybe 20 years ago, or the 15 or 10 to 50 years ago, they have around maybe 60,000 fish mills, or not fish mill. I'm always say fish. 10 to 15 years ago, there are around 6,000 feed mills or feed factories. But right now, it's only 3,000 left. So the competition, you can see, is very strong. Also, if your production efficiency is not strong enough, and you're out of the market. Also, in that kind of situation, I can see more and more Chinese companies, they they have a strong motivation to adapt new technology. They would like to take a kind of a risk to adapt new technology. These are the things I can see is from my work experience.
Okay, and so does this mean they have to transport feed further than they used to then, with fewer feed mills, or distribution a challenge?
Yeah, there's a transfer to the new technology. There's two aspects. There's one thing is they try to buy a new machine or then update the old machine to the new machine. That's one thing. Another thing is they also try to adapt the new control or automation control system for the existing production line. So the two way. Of course, they don't know which way is the best way, but I can say they started to talk about such kind of things. They have the motivation to look at such kind of things.
Kind of have to, whether they want to or not, right? Now.
Right. Yes.
Well, it's really been great visiting with you. To all our viewers, I hope that you've gotten some insight into feed milling in China. And if you liked it, give us a like, share it with people, and we'll invite Dr. Hung to come back at some point and give us a update on progress if that works for him. And we'd appreciate that. So for now, we'll wrap this up. Y'all have a good day, and may God bless you.